Hi everyone. As you all know, I am Ania Crawford and I am the current wellness coordinator intern for the Towson women's basketball team. I am here today to provide a follow-up virtual version of our workshop number 1 that was on nutrition and common misconceptions about protein. So, before we jump into the content of my presentation, I did just want to give a huge congratulations to all of the players who did participate in my in person workshop and also took my exit ticket. As you can see on the screen, I had a program objective, and that objective was that 80% of athletes will correctly identify and explain 2 protein myths about nutrition and recovery. My target was to have a success rate of 80%, and I have successfully calculated everyone's responses who took my exit ticket. I was 2% below the target, so right at 78%. Now, because I was in that plus or minus 5% of my original objective, I believe that this workshop was successful for the participants. Now, let's dive into the presentation with an activity. So, we are going to be doing an icebreaker. Now, this will look different than the instructions that I have up on the screen just because this is virtual and we are not in person. So, instead of splitting you all up into 2 teams, we will just go through this together. How this will work is the next following slides. You will see 7 bolded statements. Each statement is either going to be a misconception or a fact. I do recommend that you pause the video if you do not know the answer right away. That way you can give yourself a little bit of time before I reveal the answer. Statement number 1, more protein equals automatic more muscles. This is a misconception. So, muscle growth is limited by training stimulus rather than protein intake. This means that it's more important what we're doing in the gym rather than just focusing on how much protein we are eating. While research is evolving, it still stands true that muscle protein synthesis plateau is approximately 20 to 30 grams of protein per serving. With new research and more studies being done, this may or may not change. I do want to point out to Towson Women's Basketball, after speaking to your strength conditioning coach, he did make a point to inform me that you all are most likely not eating enough protein. So please, please, please focus on eating protein and not limiting it. Statement number 2. If I eat a lot of protein, I don't really need carbs. This is a misconception as well. Carbohydrates refill our energy. Without carbs, our body will burn protein for energy instead of repairing our muscles like protein should. Statement number 3. A protein shake is just as effective as a full meal after practice. Misconception. If you don't eat, you need energy first, like carbs. Protein alone will not restore blood sugar or help us with performance. I do want to point out to you all the difference between protein shakes and a balanced meal. Protein shakes will provide protein through amino acids, yet a balanced meal will provide carbohydrates, protein, electrolytes, vitamins, and minerals. I really want to emphasize to you guys that eating a balanced meal is so much more effective to your bodies versus than just drinking a protein shake, although I do know how tempted and yummy a protein shake is. You definitely can drink protein shakes, Just make sure you're not replacing a balanced meal for the protein shake. Also, I did speak to Molly, who is the director of sports nutrition. I wanted to share something that she shared with me. If you can't eat a meal, drinking a protein shake that contains carbs and at least a 2-to-1 carb protein ratio is the best way to drink your recovery. So, if you're really busy going from practice to class and you don't have time for a full meal, at least try to make sure that you have twice as much carbs as you do protein in your shake. The next statement is eating at night ruins recovery and results in fat gain. This is also a misconception. In fact, eating a small bedtime protein snack can actually improve overnight muscle recovery because muscle repair continues even while you sleep. Some examples could be yogurt, milk, peanut butter on toast. Protein also supports your immune system. This is a fact. Who knew protein could be so beneficial for our immune systems? This is especially important in times like now, where it is flu season and many people are getting sick. Skipping breakfast typically means athletes miss a huge recovery opportunity. This is definitely a fact. Morning protein helps start muscle repair after overnight fasting. Protein in the morning is critical for you all as student athletes. Here is the final statement. Recovery nutrition affects next day performance. This is also a fact. Athletes who refuel properly after training perform better in later practices and competitions. So, this was actually a study that was done that compared athletes who did refuel and athletes who did not. In summary, why does protein matter? Muscle repair and muscle protein synthesis occurs after exercise. You all are student athletes who are practicing sometimes 7 days a week. You all are constantly tearing down your muscles and need to be able to repair those muscles. You want to become stronger, not weaker on the court. Now, what are the requirements for athletes? Research suggests players need about 1.4 to 1.8 kilograms of protein per day. Now, I don't want you guys to focus in on calculating your protein intake. I think it's just important to make sure that you are fueling up with the right protein based snacks in between practice and classes. And then, of course, having protein for each meal. Now, let's talk about how to optimize your snacks from the fuel zone. All of you should know that the fuel zone is something accessible to all Towson student athletes. If you are going to the fuel zone before practice, you want to focus on carbs and sugar. Not candy, of course, we don't have candy at the fuel zone, but natural sugars from fruits. Some snacks you might want to choose could be bananas, our mandarin oranges, yogurt, Chex Mix, Smart Pop. Now, if you are arriving to the fuel zone after practice, you are going to want to be focusing on recovery. This means you want carbs and protein. Chocolate milk is always an excellent choice. Peanut butter, fatties, the mixed nuts, kind bars. And also, you see tart cherry juice. So, tart cherry juice is here because of the ingredient that's in cherry juice. Did you know that cherry juice has melatonin in it? Melatonin is a hormone that's in our bodies that helps us sleep better at night. That's why some people take melatonin gummies before going to bed at night. The week that I presented this workshop, it was National Eating Disorders Awareness Week. So I wanted to include some research on this, especially how it relates to student athletes like you all. Now I know you all are super busy, so I took it upon myself to pull some key findings. Did you know that the prevalence rates for eating disorders have been shown to be higher in athletes compared to non athletes, and have been found to range from 6 to 45% in female athletes and 0 to 19% in male athletes? Not only are you all student athletes, but you all are also female athletes. In addition to that, a recent study reported that in a sample of competitive athletes, over 86% met criteria for an eating disorder. Over 86%. That is a lot. If you're interested in learning more, I got this information from the National Eating Disorder Association. I also provided a link to its resource on this slide. If you are curious to know more about your risk for developing an eating disorder, I encourage you to use this website as it also provides a screening tool that you can take. As always, remember to also advocate for yourself and for your teammates. There are resources on campus, such as the Counseling Center. You all also have a designated licensed dietitian, Molly, and you also have a sports psychologist. All of these resources are available for you.